Hello everyone, this week's video is on Zentraedi equipment and mech. Now I mentioned power armor briefly in this video, but power armor is in next week's video. Let's get started. Now the section on Zentraedi equipment is going to be brief. There's only 3 items. This is the first one, light body armor. Here's the next 2, and that's all the equipment a Zentraedi gets. As for the light body armor, this is the standard outfit for the Zentraedi foot soldier and other troops. It is a lightweight polycarbonate armor with oxygen backpack and helmet with tinted visor. It can also be worn with a space helmet. Being light armor, it affords minimum protection, MDC 25. This protective body armor must not be confused with the 2 types of power armor. Yes, the Zentraedi do get power armor, but that is for officers only. The Zentraedi assault rifle. The Zentraedi use a assault rifle or gun pod which is similar to the UG-11 gun pod used by the Robotech fighter. In fact, they're so similar, a Robotech fighter could pick up a Zentraedi assault rifle and use it if needed. Mega damage, range 4,000 feet, payload 200 rounds, that's quite a bit. Fire rate 4 bursts, 2 long bursts, full melee of continuous fire. The Zentraedi laser pistol. This weapon is often used by foot soldiers not in battle pods and by soldiers clad in power armor. Damage 1d6 per shot, range 3,000 feet, payload unlimited. Zentraedi Mecha. As you see, there's 5 battle pods. One of them is the officer's pod, and there are 2 sets of power armor. Sensors and equipment standard to all battle pods. Radar, radio video communications, laser tracking system, combat computer, loudspeaker, night vision optics, heat and radiation shielding, independent oxygen and circulatory system. The tactical battle pod is the most common of all the Zentraedi war machines. It is highly dependable, non-transformable mech assault system that is issued to every infantry soldier. As you can see, it doesn't have any hands, therefore it's no good with hand-to-hand combat. However, it is many weapons on it, and despite the fact it only has 2 legs, it actually can stand up on its own really quickly. It can get back up on its feet within 1 melee action. That is really quick for a mech, especially one with only 2 legs. Now, there are 4 types of this particular form of mech, and really what varies between each of them is their weapons. Otherwise, they look almost identical. Each one, however, serves a very different purpose from each of them. The tactical battle pod, known as the regular battle pod. Vehicle type, Zentraedi Mecha. Crew, 1. MDC by location. Depleting the MDC of the main body means the pod is completely destroyed and useless. The pilot is likely to be slain. Speed, 175 miles per hour running, 650 miles per hour flying in space. Speedy and maneuverable. Height, width, length, you can see all that. Main engine, a reactor that puts out 1.3 GGV. Weapon combat summary. Attacks per melee round equal to the combined hand-to-hand skills of the pilot. Its particle beam cannons do 4d10 damage, range 4,000 feet. Its laser guns do 2d6 mega damage, range 4,000 feet. Its autocannons do 1d6, 2d6, or 4d6 mega damage, range 2,000 feet. Alternative modes of attack. Hand-to-hand, kick, stomp, or body block. Remember, it has no arms. Light artillery battle pod. This is basically the standard tactical battle pod with twin missile launchers mounted to the top instead of anti-aircraft lasers. The additional weight and awkwardness of the missile launchers slows the maximum speed of the battle pod by about 50%. Generally, 1 out of every dozen tactical battle pods is a light artillery unit. Of course, exact numbers varies with each combat station. Light artillery battle pod, also known as the Regault Light Artillery Combat Pod. Vehicle type, Zentraedi Mech. Crew, 1. SDC by location. As you can see, pretty much identical, except the missile launchers, to the tactical battle pod. Same rules apply for the main body. Speed, 90 miles an hour, fully loaded. 120 miles an hour with missiles expelled. Height, weight, length, same main generator. Weapon systems. Aside from the missile launchers up top, everything is exactly the same from the tactical battle pod. Weapon summary. Particle beam cannons, autocannons, missile launchers. Damage will vary with missile. And of course, hand-to-hand option, which is virtually none. The heavy artillery pod. This combat pod is identical to the light artillery pod, except it can launch heavy, long-range missiles. And as you can see, everything is identical to the light artillery pod. This is how the heavy artillery pod looks. Recon Scout Pod. The Recon Scout Pod is a standard battle pod with all its weapons replaced with sensor and communications equipment. Recon Scout Pod, also known as the Regault Tactical Scout. Vehicle type, Zentraedi. Crew, 1. As you can see, it only has 3 spots to aim at. Note, a searchlight is part of the main body and is the first thing to be incapacitated. Otherwise, the same destruction rules for the main body apply. As you can see, this mech is slightly slower than the main mechs, at 120 miles per hour, running, and 160 miles an hour, flying in space. Height, weight, length, all the same. Special equipment and sensors. Directional radar, range 200 miles, can track up to 48 targets simultaneously. Radio monitor, can pick up, transmit, or record radio transmissions, range 50 miles. Laser communications, long-range directional communication system, effective range about 90,000 miles. Radiation detection, can identify and pinpoint radiation. Searchlights, light of beam to 400 feet. Optical sensor, self-explanatory. Laser targeting computer, range 9,000 feet. Radio relay camera. This is what this mech looks like. The Officer's Battle Pod. The Officer's Battle Pod is the standard mech issued to all in the elite officers class of the Zentraedi Army. Its basic design, construction, and operation are similar to the standard tactical battle pod. The Officer's Battle Pod addresses the problems of the standard tactical mech. It is less cramped, heavily armored, and even possesses hand-to-hand capabilities. The Tactical Officer's Battle Pod, also known as the Glake Combat System. Vehicle type Zentraedi. MDC by location. Height, weight, length. It has a stronger engine output. Weapon system. Here's the Officer's Battle Pod. As you can see, it is heavily armored and has even hand-to-hand capabilities. Weapon combat summary. Equal to the pilot's hand-to-hand, usually 4 or 5. It has a particle beam cannon, autocannons, arm particle beams, arm impact cannon, and optional hand-to-hand. The Officer's Pod Armored Vehicle. The Officer's Battle Pod can be fixed onto a short booster sled, which provides the pod with transatmospheric capability, increased mobility, and additional protection from a force field. The force field is a variant of the pinpoint barrier system on the SDF-1, which I will cover in a future video. The addition of the armored vehicle turns the Officer's Pod into a small, space-worthy vehicle, which can exist for several months in space. The Tactical Officer Pod's Armored Vehicle. Vehicle type, Zentraedi Transatmospheric Fighter. Crew, none. The pilot of the pod controls the vehicle. MDC by location, which you can see does not include the battle pod. As you can see, energy shield 100. Now, that's important because energy shields are built into a handful of Zentraedi vehicles. It can be adjusted to protect a specific area of the pod and vehicle. Speed, 2,280 miles an hour, or Mach 0.4. Up to 3,660, or Mach 4.8, for short periods, to achieve orbit. Armored Vehicles Weapon Systems. As you see, it only has one. Multi-laser battery. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. As I said, next week's video will be Zentraedi power armor, but it'll also include their vehicles. Hope to see you there. Have a great week.